Join me today where we're filming all about sweets. Key lime pie, coconut milk panna cotta, chocolate pots of cream, a blueberry Coulis. Won't you join me? So I brought my good friend Chef Steve back on because, you know, we have done a whole bunch of different main courses.
Yes.
But what's better than a little bit of sweetness going on, right?
You need dessert for sure.
Exactly.
Yes, you do.
So we're going to do 4 desserts, and we're going to make some bread today.
Okay.
So you're going to be making.
I'm going to be making panna cotta, and then I'm also going to be doing a blueberry coulis.
Perfect. And I'm going to be making some key lime pie, some chocolate pots of cream, and some bread. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, this is how I really got into cooking, was making bread when I was 10 years old.
Right.
And just love doing it. And this is something simple and easy that you can do any day at the cottage. So this is my cheater sourdough. Okay.
All right.
So we have some bread flour. And this is one that I do use the organics versus just regular flour, because I don't want anything else in my flour. It's unbleached, so away we go. So we're going to add a little bit of salt. Probably about a teaspoon if we're keeping track. A teaspoon of sugar. It's a little humid, so just it kind of comes together as we're that. And then we're going to put in about a teaspoon of yeast. And this is the quick rise yeast that you can buy any grocery store. You can buy the package and just use one package. And there's 4 cups of flour to this recipe. So then what we're going to do is just stir this together.
And the benefits of the quick rise are that you don't need that extra rising stage,
exactly.
right? It skips a stage, so it's nice and quick.
Exactly. So we could be out swimming, or maybe having another Waterloo Dark. So we're just going to put this, stir it together, and then I'm going to take some of my Waterloo Dark and about a half a cup. Okay, maybe just a touch more. In that goes. I have a 1/4 cup of olive oil. If you don't have olive oil at the cottage and you want to use canola oil, use canola oil. Just, again, it's what you have is what you're going to make it. Then we're just going to add a little bit of cold water right from the tap. Stir that together. Just a little bit more. Perfect. And then what we're going to do with this is we're going to put some saran wrap over it, and we're going to put it on our counter. And you're going to leave it on your counter for 24 hours. So make this the day before and just wrap it, and then we're going to bake it. We'll add a little bit more flour just before we bake it, and it's fantastic. And by leaving it on your counter for 24 hours that way, it gives it a little bit of the fermentation from the yeast, so it gives it that just a little bit more.
You get a bit of a tang to it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And I like to refer to this as my cheater sourdough.
Yeah.
So, you know, those of you who don't have time for, the true starter.
Well, the true starter does take lots of time. It takes multiple days, it is a process. And again, when you're at the cottage, the last thing you want to be doing is spending lots of time in the kitchen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's nice to get something done.
And I just want to show you that it is still really, really moist. That's what you're looking for, is you don't want to have really dry, because if it's too dry, it's going to be really dry when you bake this. So we're going to grab some saran wrap. It's so good to have it right there. And then it's not going to come apart. And you're going to notice the last little secret that I do is it's just going to have a little bit of opening there to get some of the air, because there's natural flowing yeast all around us. So this goes back. We're going to put it over here. Don't look at it for 24 hours.
Done.
Okay.
Okay, so for the panna cotta, I have a can of coconut milk. So this is nice for somebody who is, of course, you know, starting to stay away from dairy, lactose intolerance or anything like that. So coconut milk, pour that in. I have 2 tablespoons of sugar.
And you could use maple syrup for this instead of the sugar, right?
You know, I was just going to say you could use brown sugar, maple syrup. You could use agave syrup if you wanted to, coconut sugar. If, you know, white table sugar was something that you were trying to stay away from. A couple of teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then a package of gelatin.
And we call it panna cotta, but it's really just a custard.
Yeah, just a kind of a custard without the egg. You know, I mean, yeah. So we're just going to stir that in, and then I'm going to put it on the stove.
About medium high, right?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of just bring it right up, kind of just below kind of a boil. Actually, if I can jump in here for a second, Chef, I'm just going to grab a whisk.
And what's he going to do is just actually kind of bring it just up to a gentle boil, and then we're going to pour it into our ramekins, and that's it, right?
Yep, that's it. Yep. The one thing you want to be careful of, though, is that with coconut milk and with a lot of the other milks and creams, is that you need to make sure you keep an eye on it. If you walk away and you get sidetracked doing something else, you are going to have a mess on your stove. So make sure that you stay focused and keep an eye on it.
And they never see us make those mistakes, right?
No,
So,
well, we don't.
okay, so while that's boiling, we're going to make our key lime pie. And, you know, I spent a fair bit of time in the States, and this is a recipe that came from there. So what I've done is I've just peeled a little bit of the skin of the lime just before the white pith, because the white pith, if you get a lot of that, it's really bitter, right? So we're going to take the juice of about 6 limes.
Are you going to add the zest in?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We're not going to use key limes. We're just going to use regular limes. They work very well. And then we're going to take our juicer. Now, if you don't have this juicer at home, I highly suggest going to Lee Valley. I'm not handy by any stretch at all, but this is amazing using the Lee Valley one, because not only can you use it to cook with, but it juices are mean for margaritas. And then we're just going to juice this down. So we'll take that. Thank you. Yeah. And it just smells amazing. And lime just invites, you know, everybody back to the kitchen again. And the other great thing is it's not a lot of cooking time with this, so it's not really, you're not heating up the kitchen. And away we go. And then I'm going to let you in on a little ChefD secret. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Sweetened condensed milk.
Hi.
When I was a lot younger, I'd go over to my grandmother's house and grab the sweetened condensed milk, and I would just take it, open it up, and just pour it on my toast.
Oh,
have you ever? I know. It's like I have any teeth left. So sweetened condensed milk. So we're going to use 2 containers. They're 300 milliliters, so 600 milliliters of the sweetened condensed milk. And the great thing about the sweetened condensed milk is people think it's really high in fat. It's not. It's 1%. And when I was in Mexico a couple years ago, I was talking with some chefs down there, and you know, they use a lot of evaporated milk. They use a lot of sweetened condensed milk, and I was asking, like, why wouldn't you use? He goes, think about it. We don't have refrigeration. Some of, you know, when our grandmothers taught us how to cook and that, and this all keeps, right? So, again, so 2 of these in. Always save a little bit for your toast. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it over here, and we're going to add in 2 eggs. Two egg yolks. Maybe not that one. Okay, I'm going back to my hands because it just works so much better. 2 egg yolks. And then we're just going to blend this, and we're going to blend it nice and slow to start off with. And just before I finish, I'm going to take my zest of my lime, put that in. And you can just see how easy it is,
Yeah.
and how it thickens so quickly.
Yes, it is thickening up.
Now, if you want, and I know some people are going, "Oh, it's raw egg, and it really doesn't get cooked." If you don't want to do the raw egg, you can always buy the egg beaters, which is pasteurized egg, and you can use that, and it will work the same way.
Right.
You know, a little bit safety thinking. So now, what we're going to do is we have some graham cracker crumbs here, and we're going to add a little bit of warm some butter up in a pan, mix in our crumbs, and then away we go.
Okay. My coconut cream has come up to a boil, or just under a boil, and now I'm going to put it into my jars. So just very carefully. And then I'm going to set these into the refrigerator until they firm up, and then, you know, garnishing, you can garnish them any way you want.
But I think we're going to have some special blueberries too.
Well, we are getting into, you know, the season of Ontario fresh fruits, so it is nice to get out there and visit some of those summer markets, and you know.
And yeah, support the farmers, because you know they're working hard at supplying us some amazing foods, and it's great that we can actually support them in this.
Okay, so these I'm going to put onto a plate.
Okay.
And then into the refrigerator. Now, just a safety thing, when you're putting hot stuff into the refrigerator, we're really not supposed to be honest with you, but we do need to cool these down so they will set up. So just make sure that you don't put them on top of something that's like we call a potentially hazardous food, like eggs or any of the raw meats or anything like that. So clear a space, give it lots of room to kind of circulate so the cold air can circulate and cool them down. So again, just be kind of careful of that. So do we have room in here?
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. So my butter's melted, and what I'm going to do is take some of our graham cracker crumbs, and this is how easy this is. You just stir this together like so. Now, at this point, if you wanted to, you could bake the graham cracker crumbs in your little ramekins, or you can just leave it this way, and it gives it a nice, really soft and chewy crust. So we will not be baking this. I'm just going to finish it all together. And really, with the butter and everything together, it doesn't smell much.
It's again, like you said in one of the other episodes regarding smell-o-vision.
We need to really patent that. And then I just put it in like so. Nothing fancy about how the crumbs go in. I don't press them down. I let the custard do that. So while I'm finishing this up, we'll be right back, and you'll be making some blueberry coulis, and I'll be finishing up with some chocolate pucks of cream, and then we're going to get our sweet tooth on. Won't you join us in just a couple minutes?